very happy to have you this morning, Mark, and appreciate you coming on our third edition of Tech Talk.
Glad to be here. It's an excellent opportunity to be able to tell people how to be prepared for various emergencies and tell them a little bit about what we do.
Oh, outstanding. Well, and the reason that we wanted to feature Mark and his amazing team, actually this Tech Talk, we stole a little bit of this idea about being live with people from your office. My good friend, Francisco Sanchez in your office, I went and checked out your Facebook page and I saw where y'all did the Christmas videos and a shout out to everybody, which were really cool. I didn't realize you had those such colorful sweaters.
Yes, we do.
But we stole a little bit of that idea and we wanted to be able to meet with our colleagues throughout the county and talk about all the good work your team especially does, I mean, year round in terms of preparedness. And so I did want to, obviously visit a little bit, immediately about the winter storm and how we're recovering from that and what you're seeing in terms of the county.
Well, recovery is always a long, drawn-out process. And we're doing pretty well, actually. It's unfortunate that so many people's homes were damaged due to the freezing temperatures and the pipes that broke. It was a unique opportunity for us to learn and grow and understand that weather can affect us not only during hurricane season, but also in severe cold events as well. And they have very similar impacts. Mm-hmm. But the recovery is going very smoothly. We're very appreciative of all of the various nonprofit partners that are helping rebuild individuals' homes, along with the county departments that are out there to help facilitate and help get people back to what we call a new state of normal.
Yeah. Well, and our offices work closely together, obviously, during these incidents because of the radio communications that are necessary. Give a shout out to Jim McMillan and his radio team that lived over there with you guys at the operations center and so forth. So maybe you talk a little bit about how we interact during emergencies.
Absolutely. Universal Services is a critical partner for many reasons. Radio communications is one for our first responders that are out in the field, the ability to communicate with one another and sustaining our massive radio network, along with technology, from our ability to use our computers or iPads, GIS support in order to create real-time situational awareness dashboards for us, to be able to communicate with our first responders to let them know that roads are either iced over or flooded or closed due to damage. And your team is a critical asset to the overarching mission that we have of public safety. And after every disaster, I have a pile of certificates that we present to every single one of the departments and our partners at the operations center. It's a small token of thanks that the county judge signs. I sign them just to say, hey, we went through this together and we appreciate your partnership. And, sometimes we sleep on the floor and sometimes we have to find a place to lay our head down for 10 minutes because it's a 24/7 operation. And I have a stack of them here because of the number of partners from your office that spend time with us. And I just want to present these to you, Mark, and say thank you.
Appreciate that. Well, I'll make sure that our team members get that and that they're displaying them proudly because we like being a member of the team. As you mentioned to me a little while ago, in terms of emergency management, it's not just the 18,000 employees that are members of the emergency management team. You said it was
4.9 million people. Every single one of us is responsible to take care of ourselves, our family, and our property. And if we do that together, collectively, we will be better prepared and expedite our recovery process if we do those simple things. And, hurricane season comes up soon, but that's not the time to prepare. We should be prepared all the time. Unfortunately, this last winter weather event was our 48th presidential declared disaster since 1979.
Wow.
So we average a declared disaster about every 9 months. So it's not about if or when, it's going to happen. And we collectively, as a community, as a region, need to be prepared.
Absolutely. You mentioned a moment ago about technology, and there was a real-time application that we were able to work on together with law enforcement. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yep, we used a GIS product to create a real-time type survey so that law enforcement personnel in the field would be able to enter closed roads information due to icing conditions or other issues, and then other law enforcement partners would be able to see that in a real-time situation. And the ability to adapt to a disaster in real time becomes complicated, but your team is able to react quickly and effectively to tactically put together what we need to see in a strategic plan and process. And we really appreciate that.
Well, and we were getting reports that, as law enforcement would block a particular road, the subsequent unit that may come, they already knew in advance that that road was closed. So therefore, they save time for recovery purposes, not having to go a different route, et cetera, et cetera. So
correct.
It was very, very, very effective application of a tool. So in your emergency management experience, and all the different man-made or natural disasters now that you've had to lead the county, hurricane season doesn't start in September, does it?
No. Unfortunately, they officially announced it that it'll start on June 1st. But we've had hurricanes that have developed in all 12 months. And so, yes, hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th. But we've seen storms in the past in April. We've seen them in May. And we just have to pay attention all the time. Emergencies and disasters, don't have to be a weather-related event. We can be prepared today for what might happen this evening, tomorrow, next week. We hope that it doesn't happen, but we've seen almost everybody in the county affected by some sort of emergency.
Yeah. And to that note, I'm thinking quickly, a year ago, more than a year ago, pre-pandemic, a chemical explosion that you were having to deal with. And now, if we fast forward right now with shot distribution that your office and team are very much involved with, can you talk a little bit about that and how technology played a role in those particular incidents?
Well, technology, obviously everybody remembers ITC and the unfortunate event of the petrochemical plant and the plume that was over the city and the entire county, stretching for hundreds of miles, and the weeks that went by in that event. And it's about sharing information. It's not only email, but being able to have real-time dashboards, as we talked about, for closed roads. Is what areas are being affected? Where are our resources? When we're doing air quality control, where are we measuring that the air quality is good or has been impacted by the petrochemical industry? When we talk about the pandemic and our public health partners do the tactics to all of that, our office really is a strategic partner and planner to help support the responses. We worry about tomorrow rather than today. When we get into the tactics, that creates a mechanism of failure for our office because we have tactical partners that succeed in that. And public health is doing an outstanding job with testing, with the distribution of the vaccines as they become available. And we're hoping that everyone takes the opportunity to register. We're seeing Texas and the rest of the country start to get millions of doses, and hopefully everybody can get their signed up on any of the location sites and get registered. We will help facilitate resource requests, other things with public health and our partners, along with the 34 cities within Harris County.
Well, we're certainly within Universal Services and encouraging every employee to get their vaccine. I know I've had mine. I know you've had yours. My family has as well. My 89-year-old mother has as well. So we're very much pushing that for the good of the community that we're all vaccinated. And so I'm really happy you guys are behind that effort. Talk to me a little bit, if you could, Mark, because we talked about the entire county being part of emergency management. Harris County Citizens Corps. What is that, and what does it do?
Well, this goes back to a post 9/11 event that everybody's familiar with 9/11. Is that at the time the president created a program to help bring volunteer organizations together. Neighborhood Watch, which became USA on Watch, a community emergency response team that started in Los Angeles, as well as the Medical Reserve Corps, Fire Corps, and Volunteers in Police Service. And these 5 programs then became part of the Citizen Corps umbrella. And this allows our residents to go on to the Harris County Citizen Corps website and look at the various programs. And if they'd like to learn how to be better prepared and be able to go outside and help their neighbor, the Community Emergency Response Team program is an excellent opportunity to do that. We have one of the largest programs in the country. We're going to get close to training over 45,000 individuals in the county since it started in 2003. We have over 250 neighborhood teams that have come together on a variety of emergencies, from tropical weather, flooding events. Mm-hmm. But it's one of the things that we always talk about is it's about neighbors helping neighbors. Yeah. And this is an opportunity for them.
Now, that falls under the umbrella, the whole philosophy of Ready Harris. Would that be accurate to describe?
It falls under that because it's a separate entity. As a Harris County Citizen Corps, it has its own council, but it's run by the county and run by our office. And yes, under Ready Harris, you should be able to find those opportunities, or you can go to harriscountycitizencorps.com and find it as well. Yeah.
Well, here at Universal Services, we're hoping that we're going to be able to give you more tools, more information, more data to be able to deploy your tactical resources, hopefully in a better way into the future. Our work right now with pollution control engineers, flood control, being able to now, through technology, have more ways of taking in information, whether it's human or non-human ways of sensors of getting information. And then the next generation of artificial intelligence to give more predictability for either flooding instances or whatever the particular hazard may be. And we're hoping within our technology strategic planning is going to provide those tools to really help you be better equipped to deploy for decision-making processes, to use resources accurately. So that's where we're heading here in Universal Services, Lord willing, in the coming years. And again, our relationship has been phenomenal, and appreciate all of your support. Is there anything that you had that you wanted to share as well as we go into this next hurricane season or anything?
Well, every year we always learn and have better resources. And the better the resources that we have at our disposal help make our first and foremost mission successful, and that's life safety and protecting property. And without the partnerships that we have and the established understanding that this is a collective, it isn't about a single department, it is about all of us being engaged and involved in not only the response, but also the recovery process. Mm-hmm. And if we do that together, which I believe we are one of the best prepared counties in the country. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's because of that understanding and the relationships that are built. We don't meet each other in the middle of the night during a disaster. We already know what our resources are and know each of us now. Today.
Yeah, the speed of trust without question and get things done. Which brings me to about 3 weeks ago or so, you send me a quick text on a Saturday and whatnot. And you said, "Hey, Rick, are you guys tracking this Microsoft event that's occurring nationally, globally?" And we were able to communicate on what was going on with that particular Microsoft breach. I always like to tell our team at Universal Services, just like you mentioned, every employee in the county is a cyber warrior. Everybody, every time you turn your computer on, every time you hit a keystroke, it is absolutely, you're creating a vulnerability, potentially a risk to the entire county and our operations. Can you talk a little bit about the cyber threats and so forth that you've seen and how we can best be aware and able to combat all these threats that we see, hundreds of them every day?
Absolutely. I mean, cyber is something we talk about. It's that out of sight, out of mind. And, you know, we've become very dependent upon our technologies, on our phone systems. They're attached to our hips. And then along with logging in our office, and during COVID, created a new vulnerability with us being offsite and at home, using our home networks. And that created a new vulnerability to the county to make sure that we sustained and maintain our interconnectivity. And if people are not paying attention to the cyber risks and threats from ransomware, from people that basically look like it's a real email and you click on a link, can do harm to the county and shut down offices or departments. But your team of cyber experts have helped isolate those issues on a regular basis. So there's a lot of varying types of risk and threats, and that's why the communication lines are open, where I don't assume everyone is going to know what we know. I'd rather have individuals know from 3 different sources that there's a potential risk or threat, you know, and be able to say, yep, we're on it, we got it, and we're handling it, rather than to say, oh, I wish somebody would have told me, because that creates a new, what I'll call an opportunity for us to be better.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, as you'll recall, Mark, I guess it was maybe a couple of years ago, the state of Texas, some of our judicial systems within the state were held at ransom by hackers. And of course, you know, we've done a lot to try to create the security protocols within the county, but it's you know, literally tens and thousands of attacks and probes weekly, and all of our employees, you know, it's kind of this, if you see something, say something method with their own security folks internal to their department. But certainly, I mean, just 2 weeks ago, as an example, we had to isolate, and this is almost a weekly event, going about 2 or 3 levels of actually sharing credentials or information, and then having them to try to freeze that incident so it doesn't infect the entire county, which could shut down our whole operation as a county. It's something extremely serious. Right now, I know our HR department is an example. We have an annual, for all employees, requirement for those that are engaged on the computer to go back and recertify. How important is that in terms of their cybersecurity recertification?
It's critical. Not only is it state law that we're mandated to do this, but it also gives you situational awareness of what are the current risks and threats? What do I need to pay attention to? And if you're not paying attention to that, it becomes a vulnerability. And this is just an excellent reminder for those of you that have done this in the past years. You know, it isn't that they're asking you, they're telling you, get it done by June 1st, I think is the date.
Yeah, that's right.
And make sure you're up to speed on the current risks and threats and the vulnerabilities that we're trying to protect at the county level, and your department is crucial in that. So don't quit hitting delete. Just go take the class.
I've done mine. I don't want to put you on the spot. Have all y'all done yours yet? Oh, okay, good. I got thumbs up from the team over here. So no, absolutely critical. And as you mentioned, there are several pieces of legislation that are going through the process right now regarding requiring counties that they be at 100%. We don't know where that's going to wind up, but we would certainly hate to be behind the 8 ball if in fact a 100% requirement of all 17, 18,000 employees does occur. So as Mark mentioned, please don't forget, June 1st is the deadline. So please complete your cyber certification requirement. So we've got about 10 minutes left, and so I'm going to leave it there now to ask Mark or myself some questions. So here's a question I just have from someone, Mark, and the question is, before we get to some other critical questions like University of Houston's game tomorrow night against Syracuse, how can I get involved in Citizens Corps?
It's pretty simple. As we start to get more classes online and in person in the coming months, you can go to www.harriscountyczitizencorps.com and look at the various programs. You can log your volunteer hours and pick a program and a training session that becomes available in your area. Right now, it's very limited due to COVID, but we're looking to add more classes online in the coming months.
And so if you're like a member of a civic club or say your men's club at church or whatever the case might be, you could also get that group to become Citizen Corps members or participants.
Absolutely.
So you can do it as a group.
We
as
do
well.
it. We've done businesses. We do church organizations. We've done schools. We have an extensive teen cert program where our high schoolers are actually taking the classes now in school and are going to be, I think we're at 1,422 of our high school students are participating in the program. But yes, if you get a group together, we'll have a coordinator. We'll come to you and train you in your neighborhood.
Oh, that's outstanding. There was two other things I wanted to ask you about because you're talking about training. We talked about it a little bit earlier. National Women's Month, celebrating Women's Heritage Month, and a lot of the women in our here at Universal Services has been asking me about different trainings that might be available to them. This is somewhat of a law enforcement focus, but you did mention to me a couple of trainings that the sheriff's office for departments might come out and do trainings for security purposes or safety purposes for women in our county.
Yes, that a lot of our, I think even some of the constables might even host some of the classes, but our law enforcement personnel, the sheriff's office has hosted active shooter trainings along with I think a women's awareness and protective measures training classes that they have helped facilitate. So check in your departments through your training officer, or you can reach out to our office, and if there's a training that's going to be held, we can help facilitate and get you to the right people.
Outstanding. I've got another question for you. Mark came in. It says, where can people go to get more information on preparedness, and how can we sign up for emergency notifications?
If you go to the Ready Harris website, you can click on there and get alerts. So you can get alerts from, if you happen to be within a city in Harris County, you can register for that city's emergency alert too through their emergency management office. With 34 cities and 4.9 million people, I'd rather make sure that you get notifications from as many of your resources as possible. Sometimes emergencies or disasters are very local. And so if you live in Pasadena or you live within the city, register with them. But you can also register at Ready Harris and get the county alerts and information that's going on throughout Harris County.
And I do want to mention too, Mark, we're working on a project with flood control. It's very involved. It'll take us through probably 2021 to complete, but it would be for the purposes of people signing up to get flood notifications on the street you live on. So you would be able to go in to Ready Harris and then be able to get notifications on Street X of where you live, what the status is in terms of high water as an example. So that's a project we have right now that we're working on. And so we're hoping to be working hand in glove and have that complete by the end of the year for the residents of Harris County.
Great.
So let's see, I think I have another question here. Let me see real quick. No, not another question yet. Let me see. Did I have another one, Robert? Let's see. Oh, yeah, here we go. I get all my news on social media. Is Ready Harris active on Twitter?
Yes, absolutely. We're very active on social media. You can also look at those to get our tweets along with Facebook. A lot of the social media platforms we're very active on.
Yeah. So that was a good question. So any other questions anyone might have for Mark? I think, let's see, I have another one here. If y'all want to ask Mark about the Chicago Cubs or about Illinois or about University of Arizona, any of those things that he's an expert about as well. What is the picture on the desk? This is Cullen. This is the Ezekiel Cullen building at the University of Houston, who plays tomorrow night. Tune in, 8:55 against Syracuse. So when they win, they'll go to the Elite Eight in the March Madness Final Four tournament. That was a great question. And so any other questions y'all might have for Mark or let's see. So that was the on the question. So Mark, right now here we're sitting. We got folks that are getting in line for shots. People are hopefully going to become cyber recertified in their training. June 1 is hurricane season again. God forbid we have another chemical explosion or other man-made incident and so forth. Just an overarching message for all of our security team, which is all the employees and all the residents of Harris County. What would you like to tell them as a part of this edition of Tech Talk?
Well, first I want to say thank you. Thank you, General. Appreciate the opportunity to be here to just have a conversation about not only the events and disasters, emergencies that we've had in the past, but also about the technology and that we continue to evolve and to be better at what we do. And it's about relationships and partnerships. As residents and employees, we have to take care of our families. It's crucial that we understand that these risks and threats are real. When hurricane season comes around, we usually hear, well, we hope it turns. We think it'll turn. It'll go to Louisiana. That's what we hope, but sometimes it doesn't. And we have to be prepared for when it doesn't. When the weather services say that it's going to rain and we're going to get 3, 5, or 8 inches of rain, we know our streets will flood when we get 3 inches of rain or more. So you have to pay attention and be prepared. Sometimes it only takes a few hours for things to be resolved. It's an inconvenience. In other cases, as we've seen from Harvey, Ike, Rita, Katrina, the winter weather, it can take weeks or months. But we have to take care of ourselves, our family, and protect our property to the best of our ability so that we can actually complete our jobs.
Thank you, Mark. And I want to thank you again. I'm going to make sure that our team members receive this this wonderful token of their service to our Office of Emergency Management. And on behalf of Universal Services, I want to present you, this is a P51.
Yes.
And you know what it is. Yeah. This is to get you out of any trouble, any problem, anything that you encounter. This is your MacGyver tool for all emergencies, and I hope that you will wear it dearly and remember us at Universal Services for whatever you need and whenever you need it.
It'll open up a can of beans for sure.
It will open up a can of beans for sure.
Appreciate that.
We appreciate you, Mark, and thank you again.
Thank you.
And look forward to our continued partnership.
Me too.
Thank all of you today for joining us on our third edition of Tech Talk. We've had Mr. Mark Sloan, our partner here in Harris County, and we look forward to seeing you next time soon on the next edition of Tech Talk. Thank you.